Here we have photo sounder. Along the top of this image of roots we have the color image histogram. On the left hand side we have the frequency of pitches on the vertical axis, and on the bottom on the horizontal axis the amount of time. Here's what this sounds like. So lots of frequencies being played at high volume. Sort of sounds like swirling white noise. Now, if I decrease the ratio on the gamma, the image will darken, and that will give more contrast to the lighter and darker parts, and you'll be able to hear the image play the lighter parts a little more clearly in this image. Something else I did to create sounds using this program was to adjust the frequency with which the program will play the image across. So right now I am increasing the minimum frequency to just below 440, and then I'll decrease the maximum frequency here to just above 440. I chose 440 because it's a standard tuning note. You can see along the right vertical axis and the actual note names, and you'll see A4 show up, which is the A just above middle C. So once I am centered around this A440, I'll be able to play the image, and it will only span about 10 Hertz, which will end up sounding around that A. You can see I'll center the A4 in the middle of the image here, and then I'll play the image, and you'll hear that it's that A tone. After the color image histogram above fills in, I'll hit play, and it sounds like this. Now the sound is a little quiet, so I'm actually going to put the gamma back where it was so that there's more intensity in the sound. You'll see the histogram change yet again. When I play, there'll be more tone to the sound around that A440, and it sounds like this. I also made more percussive sounds by centering it on higher pitches and increasing the resolution, which made the image play much faster. And here we have Ableton Live, my DAW. Let's take a look at the synthesizer sounds first. This first one is the sound created by the image of a tree I dropped into this grain table synthesizer called Quanta by Audio Damage. Next is the sound generated by the image of a tree that I just simply dropped into my sample player. Next is a sound generated from an image of roots with a pitch bend applied. Next is a sound produced from an image of herons in flight. And finally the bass sound, which was produced with the same image of herons but narrowed to 110 Hertz. And finally the drums. I used the same sample for the bass drum and the snare drum, an image of a river, to produce these sounds. Let's take a look at the bass drum only. obviously triggered at a lower pitch than the snare drum. I also applied two effects, Wow by Sugar Bites, which is a multi-filter, and then Verta by Madrona Labs, which is a patchable synth. This is what it sounds like without the effects. Let's move on to the snare drum, which is the same sound generated by the image of a river but triggered at a higher pitch. I once again used the plugin Wow, but with slightly different settings for the snare sound. On top of that, I also used a plugin called the Drop by Cytomic, which is an analog modeled resonant filter. This is what it sounds like without any effects. For the hi-hat, I used a sound generated from the image of Roots. This is what it sounds like without any of the effects applied. To emphasize the higher frequencies, I used three different plugins. This time, Manipulator by Polyverse, which is a granular audio processing plugin, as well as Wow, which you've already heard about, with multi-filter. And then I simply applied a delay. The last track is simply an audio recording of the ocean. The full mix sounds like this. Thanks for listening. I hope you listened to the entire song, linked below in the description.